What's going on, my friends? dj.lostax here. Welcome back to the channel. So today was supposed to be another gig log. Well, it was going to be, but I unfortunately didn't capture enough footage from the gig that I did to support a full video dedicated to that gig log. I figured I would take this opportunity to show you guys some of my camera equipment, and that's definitely a question you guys have asked a lot, is what do I shoot my videos with and things like that. I'm going to show you some clips from the gig that I did, and I'm going to walk you guys through my camera equipment and pros and cons, and if I were to start over again shooting gig logs, what I would buy and what I wouldn't. So that's coming up next. Alright, so let's jump into this here. I started shooting gig logs roughly 3-ish years ago, and I started out with a GoPro. Would I start out with a GoPro today? Absolutely not. GoPros are great action cameras, and they're great for certain things, but they're not good for gig logs because they suck in low light. You're gonna get grainy video, it's not gonna look good. There's ways around that to make it look a little bit better. Even with the camera settings and things like that, I still couldn't quite get the video quality that I wanted out of a GoPro. It's not bad for a secondary camera or a side angle or something like that, but I would definitely not recommend a GoPro today to start out with gig logs. Now, after the GoPro, I actually went out and I purchased a Canon SL2. This is a Canon T3i, but it's basically the same footprint of a camera as the SL2. Just doesn't quite shoot as good quality video. So it's gonna be a camera about this size, and it's gonna come with a kit lens. The kit lens will be similar to this right here. This is actually a 10-18. The kit lens that comes with this is an 18-55, I believe. Not a bad lens, but horrible in low light. So I get this brand new camera and I'm like, can't wait to shoot gig logs. And the first gig log I shot with it, it was just all dark and just looked like crap. Because the lens, little did I know, was not good in low light. Moving forward, I ended up picking up this little guy right here. This is actually a Canon G7X Mark II. Now they have the Mark III out, and if I could go back and buy the Mark III, I would do that because it shoots 4K and it's just a little better camera overall. But this little thing right here has been probably my #1 used camera. It's great. If you want to get into gig logs, stop watching this video right now. Go buy this camera or the Mark III and get started there. I did have to glue a little bit of fur up here onto where the microphone is because it picks up a lot of wind noise, and Mark II does not have an external mic input. The Mark III, however, does have an external mic input. Basically how I use this is I have this little Manfrotto tripod here that opens up into a tripod, or you can hold it like this as like a selfie stick. So I just screw this on here. When it's on, you flip the screen up, boom, you're good to go. And the best thing about this camera is the aperture goes down to what's an f1.8. The aperture is how wide open the lens gets and how much light it lets in. So for example, this 10-18, the aperture is it only goes down to 4. So this lets in about double the amount of light that this lens is gonna let in. So that's going to be the big difference here with these lenses, is going to be the aperture. So moving on, I did talk a little bit about external microphones. So the external mic that I use, so right now I'm recording, I have a lavalier mic running out of the mic output on my SL2, and I'm actually shooting with a Canon 24mm f2.8 pancake lens. So the lens is about this thick. So that's what I'm shooting with now, because I want to show you the main lens that I use. But this is a Rode Micro. So this is the mic that I typically run on the Canon SL2. It plugs into the side, picks up great audio. So for the dance floor shots and the shots of me on the mic and stuff like that, the audio that I'm picking up is not recorded from within my mixer or anything like that. It's actually recorded through this mic on the camera that I'm talking to right now. So I highly suggest this for beginners. This is a great mic. I don't plan on upgrading anytime soon. It's worked great, and it'll continue to work great. So I'll leave a link to this, the G7X and the SL2 all down in the description if you want to check them out. So other lenses that I picked up along the way, I'll just kind of go through them and tell you about them and tell you kind of the uses, where they would come in handy and where they wouldn't. So this one I picked up, this is called, this is the Canon 50mm. So this is a macro lens. So it's fixed at 50mm. And where this one really comes in handy is for like the B-roll shots. So it's open up pretty wide, and with the macro lenses, you're gonna be able to get that nice bokeh, which what that is that blurry background that you can get in some photographs and video footage. You're gonna get that with a macro lens. So the lower the aperture, the better chance of getting that nice bokeh. So next we have this lens right here. This is a 55 to 250 Canon. So this one, the aperture is not very low. It's a f4, but the only times I really use this lens are for ceremonies. So I like to be set up in the back of house. Shout out to Mike Walters, View from 1,000 Ceremonies. Always set up in the back there. But this lens, where it comes in handy, is I can zoom in from way back, and I can get a pretty good shot of the ceremony. So if you watch any of my gig logs, anytime I'm zoomed in relatively decent on the ceremony, it's because I'm using this lens. It's a pretty cheap lens too. Like, you can get them used on Marketplace for about $100. But the aperture isn't very low, so it's not going to do good in low light, but it will work great outside for those outdoor shots when you want to zoom in. So next lens I'm going to tell you guys about is my favorite lens. So this puppy right here is a Sigma 18 to 35 f1.8. This thing weighs about 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds. It's a pretty heavy lens, and it works phenomenally. So this is what turned my SL2 into a better camera than this. Because the SL2 has the external mic outputs, and I stuck this lens on it, the footage I've been getting lately, well, you guys see it in my videos, is much better. I just love this lens. Can't talk highly enough about the Sigma 18 to 130 or the Sigma 18 to 35 f1.8. It's kind of a standard for crop sensor cameras. If you're not familiar with the difference between a crop sensor camera and a full frame camera, basically crop sensor camera have I think it's a 1.2 times crop. So basically the amount of picture that the lens is picking up is going to be less with a crop sensor camera than a full frame camera. But they're also way more expensive to buy a full frame camera instead of a crop sensor camera. Sigma 18 to 35 f1.8. I'll leave a link in the description down to this lens as well. Next up, we have this right here. So this lens I just picked up, and this is actually a 8mm fisheye lens. So I don't plan on shooting video with this, but what I do plan on doing is shooting photography with it. And what I'm gonna do is use it at my gigs, basically to get those sweet dance floor shots. I'm gonna be able to just kind of hold the camera up, get the nice packed dance floor, use the fisheye lens to kind of get the whole room, and get those nice Instagram shots with this. I can leave a link to this in the description down to this as well. It's about $150, $180, something like that for this lens. But if you're into photography and you want to shoot some dope pictures with your camera, pick this up. All right, what I'm gonna do next here is I'm gonna insert the clip of the gig that I did this past weekend. It was a father-daughter dance here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. It was actually in Portage, which is just the next town over. It was a glow themed, and the reason that I thought this video would be a good one to talk about cameras in is because had I not had a camera that would shoot good in low light, I would have not been able to get any footage at all at this event because it was a glow party and it was really dark in there. All I brought with me was this Canon G7X Mark II. I shot all of that video with this camera and it all came out great. So check out that clip right here, and I'll catch up with you guys in just a second. Hope you guys enjoyed that little highlight. It was about a minute recap of my gig from this past weekend. It was a glow party. And the reason that I wanted to make this video not a gig log and talk about camera stuff is because of the low light situation there. I figured this would be a great video to use as an example and show that, you know, had I not had a camera that would shoot really good in low light, I wouldn't have been able to shoot any footage at that gig at all. So the fact that this Canon G7X Mark II can shoot at an aperture of 1.8, that means I was able to shoot in that low light and get some pretty decent video quality. And that's just something that most cameras aren't going to be able to do. So highly recommend this. A couple other pieces of equipment that I have that I don't use a ton is going to be my drone. I have the Mavic Air. So this is the Mavic Air. It's pretty small, nice compact little drone. I don't use it a ton, honestly, because it's a pain in the butt to fly. Flying it itself isn't challenging, but there's constantly firmware updates and things like that. And I don't fly it often enough to keep it up to date and things like that. So I feel like every time I take it out of the package to fly it, I've got to update it and this and that, and it's just it's kind of a pain. So if I could go back, I probably wouldn't buy a drone. But if you want one, I'll leave a link down in the description. Another thing that I would definitely pick up, guys, is going to be extra batteries. So I have this whole little bag here that I've got batteries for both my cameras in. I've got extra batteries for the G7X, extra batteries for the Canon SL2. I've got a little charging dock for iPhones, that type of stuff in here. This is like my little battery pack. But you're definitely going to need some extra batteries because, you know, a lot of these cameras aren't, even though they shoot great video, they're not necessarily designed to shoot video. So the battery life just stinks on all of them. So make sure you get yourself some extra batteries. All right, guys, as always, if you're new around here, please subscribe. Once I hit 5,000 subscribers, I'm gonna be doing a huge giveaway, and I'm also gonna be buying myself a new camera. So I wanna pick up the Canon 90D. And once I hit 5,000 subscribers, I'm gonna do that, and then these gig logs are gonna be coming at you in 4K. So super excited about that. Give this video a like if you found this informative, and also comment down below. If you're shooting gig logs, tell me what camera you're using, tell me what equipment you're using. You know, if you have any questions, leave me a question down below. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys may have. You know, I've done this, I've gone down this road. I've spent a lot of time learning how to operate these cameras, how to use them, and you know, I know the pros and cons and kind of the ins and outs of the whole gig log thing. So if you have any questions, please leave them down below. I'll catch you up to the next one. Peace.